Can you introduce your company for the viewers?
Sure. William Tincup, President with Recruiting Daily.
And why did you decide to participate at this event?
This conference has historically been a place where Americans, like myself, get to understand the European HR tech buyer. So in America, we kind of have a bias, you know, in a lot of ways because we consume a lot of software, we make a lot of software. We think the world revolves around us, and it doesn't. It doesn't at all. And so Mark's conferences, all the way back to 2011, have allowed people like me the understanding of the global market and how global HR is consumed, how global HR technology is consumed, how global HR technology is marketed and sold. And so it's enlightening, quite frankly. Every one of his events, I always go back smarter. Smarter about the practitioner in Europe, and it's different. It's just as if, you know, if you're a non-American, you were coming to America, you'd have a lot of the same biases and misunderstandings. A lot of Americans have those misunderstandings about Europe in particular.
But what are these differences? How you can describe these differences between Europe
Say
and the
again?
United States? What are the differences between Europe and the United States?
Oh, yeah. So one of the things that I see is, first of all, the European buyer is more interested in seeing the software than the American buyer, which is ironic on some levels. But like at a trade show like this in the US, you couldn't see a CHRO or a VP of HR or talent acquisition standing in line waiting to see software. In the US, that would never happen, ever.
But why?
They think that the software should come to them. They think salespeople should come to them. They think that software, the demo should come to them. They think it should be private, personal, exclusive, etc. Here, they're willing to stand in line, have a cappuccino, and wait to talk to a vendor to see their software. And that's truly unique. It's also truly unique at the level of which you have here. Here, at Mark's conferences, you have higher level practitioners, both in the sessions speaking, but also in the expo hall.
What kind of new information did you get in 2016? What you feel now? What did you benefit from this?
Well, so a couple things. One is the databases that we've been accustomed to for the last couple of years are going to get smarter. They're going to make recommendations, whether or not we like them or not, whether or not we want them to or not. The databases themselves, the data will have expectations, we'll have expectations of the data in the databases to forecast, predict, tell us things that we don't know. So I believe that here is kind of an extension of that. What you saw on the expo floor is more vendors that are kind of coming to HR from outside of HR, which is usually where innovation happens. And that's both in the States as well as here, is innovation doesn't necessarily come through recruiting or HR, it comes from outside. And so you'll see people that have never worked in HR, never worked in talent acquisition, have an idea. We just did a demo a second ago of a play called Resourceful Humans, where it's a task management play that basically makes work meritocratic, if you will, where you can bid on work. I want to work on that project. I want to work with this team. And so engagement, the concept of engagement that we think of now is kind of a top-down thought. We hire people, they're here, and now we're forced to then engage them. Well, what if we flipped that and said, no, you opt into the work you want to do? Well, now it's assumptive that engagement is there because you opted in to do that project. So that, I think we're going to see more of that. I think by the time we get back here next year, we'll see hundreds of things like that.
That's going to be the future of HR technologies. That's what you think?
I think so. I think we're just riding a wave. When we went from on-premise to SaaS, that was a delivery of software, how software was delivered. It was either local or through the internet. Now, one of the waves that we're dealing with is the databases that are in HR, from compensation to talent acquisition, have historically been really stupid databases, dumb data. Whereas now we're starting to have the expectation that those databases do something different. What will be a year from now is I think that'll get sorted out. That yes, now all the databases are telling us things. Now what do we do with all that insight? How do we turn insight into action? So I think we still got several ways to go, but I think right now we're in a phase where we expect insight to come from data, which is nice. Quite frankly, it's a nice little phase to see, but I don't think we're done.
What do you think? What are the most interesting and most important questions in 2016 about HR? What is your personal opinion about this?
Yeah, I think as an HR buyer, an HR tech buyer, I think you have to ask your vendors a couple things. One, I think you have to ask them, what is this going to tell me? So I want to buy this compensation. I want to buy this succession management. I want to buy this performance management. What is this going to tell me? Then what's it connected to? Meaning this data doesn't live in a silo by itself. It's got to be connected to multiple other things. So what's it connected to? Then what's the insight I'm going to garner? So what's it going to tell me? What's it connected to? What insight? And what can I do with the action? I think the last thing I think practitioners need to ask technology providers is how many other people have a similar problem to mine that are resolving it through you, through the use of your application. So I think that first thing you got to do is what does it tell me? You know, that susses out databases that aren't predictive, that aren't forecasting, that aren't smart. So the first question isn't how much or how long the implementation. The first question must be, you know, is this a smart database? Does this tell me things? The CEO's dilemma is I don't know what I don't know, right? Well, that's also our dilemma. That's everyone's dilemma is you don't know what you don't know. In HR, it's profound. And so you need data and databases to inform and so that you can make data-driven decisions.
Okay, if somebody never been to an HRN conference, why you would recommend this kind of conference? Why to participate on it?
Well, first of all, I think that, you know, you got a couple things. On the learning side, you've got wonderful content. And what I love about this particular conference is it started and it imported a lot of talent from other places. So if you go back to, I think, 11, in Amsterdam, if you were to look at the agenda then, it would probably be about 50% American, right? Now, if you look at the agenda, it might only be 5% American. The agenda, what I love about it is it's a lot of Europeans talking about European-specific issues. So the content side has robustly changed over the years to be really pro-European stories. And I think just to get started, I think that's how you had to start. Like I go back to that time, it's like a lot of the stories were American. And so you had to import those stories, but we don't have to import those stories anymore. So I love that when you're in Europe, you should be listening to Europeans, period. And secondly, I think the shopping experience in the vendor hall is second to none. I think that if I were a European HR director, I'd come here to shop. I'd come here to learn and hear the stories of other European people like me having similar problems, and I'd come here to shop. I'd come here to go booth to booth to booth to booth to booth and find out who's doing what and who should I be working with.
Okay, thank you so much for the interview.
Sure, thank you very much. Thanks for asking.